Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kellorn and I will be publishing some content of gameplay and tactics. Right now it's specifically for battleships, but potentially other ships in the future. Today I want to show a replay of a Tier 10 match that I got in recently. I was with a couple of members from my clan, Task Force 16, and as you can see, the the matchmaker decided to short us two people in an attempt to make up for the fact that we had four tier 10s compared to the enemy two tier 10s. Specifically, a couple other things to note here. We have two tier 10 carriers versus a tier 8 and a tier 10 carrier on the enemy side. This is going to be a big determining factor in the end, and we can get into carrier meta at a later date. I'm also opposed by an enemy Montana named Bear Run, who is grouped with the Tier 10 Hakyuya on the enemy team. With no further ado, this is the open beta. I've finished grinding my Montana out, which you can see here as I sail in the early portions of this match. A few things to note. Any mods that you see that are on my particular they're on this video, I have installed via the Aslan's mod pack, which you can find underneath in the comment section of this post. And feel free to experiment with Aslan's. I very much enjoy the content that the Aslan's mod pack has to offer, and it will hopefully help you. So a few things. The intent of this post is to the intent of my channel is going to be as a training tool for members of my clan and as a training tool for people in World of Warships in general. I very much like battleships. I find them to be a very compelling gameplay, and one of the reasons that I like them is that I'm a big history nut and naval history nut, and when I first heard about World of Warships, I literally could not wait to get my hands on playing some of the big battleships. Now, earlier I said that we were going to have a lot of planes in the sky. If you can look down, you can see on my mini-map that both sides are launching planes, both sides are launching strikes. The enemy seems to be a little bit, the enemy carriers seem to be a little bit better here in the early phases at launching coordinated strikes. And they really are going to hurt me here in a minute. I've heard a lot of concern. One of the other reasons I wanted to do this video is that I on my way to the grind of the Montana, I heard a lot of rumors of people talking about that the Montana was bugged, that the armor did not work. Even so far as one person that I would grind Iowas with telling me that he had gotten to the Montana and sold it. I found that to be a relatively incredible statement, but to each their own. You can make your own decision based on this gameplay and other things. So, as you can see, the first aircraft strike from both carriers is coming in on me. The AA on the Montana is absolutely incredible. It is far and away the highest raw AA score of any ship in the game, including cruisers. So I have eaten 2, 3, 4, 5 torpedoes so far, it looks like. I'm still holding off on my repairability until the first strike is gone because I don't want to. There we go. I've repaired and used damage control. Using your repairability to repair flooding is really kind of the only time that I use my repairability in a battleship because it's so essential to repair flooding in a timely manner. Fires I usually will let burn out unless for some reason I've foreseen that I'm not really going to need to reuse my repairability in any time. A couple other things to note here. My teammate Baz here has been following me around in his Ibuki, and the Montana is one of those ships that really benefits by having buddy type gameplay. Having somebody that really works hand in hand with you can really enhance the amount of XP that you get from this ship, because it can keep you safe in situations that just get a little too intense for one ship to handle. Um, so as you can see, the enemy team has decided that it has a pretty big group of ships centered around its carriers in the BAC 910 area, as well as a kind of a detachment of 3 Atagos and a Colorado that have gone around to the north of this island. Um, I, at this point in the game, I have a choice. I can either dive towards the carrier group, which I really don't want to do. Even they've already taken away half my hit points, and I don't really want to go through more carrier strikes just in an attempt to get there. Now, when the aircraft come in a little bit more dispersed, you can see that I was able to kill that first group, and the second group I managed to dodge the torpedoes that actually do get dropped. So, you know, the really coordinated carrier strikes are the only thing that are going to get through to a Montana. When you get these onesie twosie squadrons and you pay attention, it's really not that big a deal. So now you can see I just took a shot here. Most of my shots hit this mountain, but I do get one hit. As a battleship driver, when I can determine that I'm not going to need to shoot anything in the next 30 seconds, I'm more than happy to take these little like risky shots that between islands and things like that. Now you can see at this point I'm talking with my division mate Baz, and he said I can't support you for a second. I'm having to turn away. And he's like, "Be careful. There's a bunch of guys over there." Well, I know from my mini map that there are 3 Atagos and a Colorado. This in the Montana is not something that really scared me. Atagos are good ships. I really love playing my Atago, but I know where to shoot them, and the Montana absolutely will devastate Atagos, and it's not something that I really felt that I needed to be scared about. So I know this Atago's here. I'm getting my guns lined up before I come around the island. I want to get my first shot off, hopefully to his broadside as quickly as possible. So we'll go in here to the gun sight view. Okay, and there, I've spotted him. I'm going to put my guns ahead and fire. And good hits take him down all the way to 578 hit points, and just really frustrating because he's at full capability at 578 hit points. I'm going to turn away here, trying to hold open the range because I know these guys are going to have torpedoes. It's one of the big dangers of having to deal with Atagos. They light me up here on fire. Luckily, one of my teammates goes ahead and shoots the low health one, and I dispatch this low health Atago. So now, all of a sudden, I came around this corner, and my clanmate was like, "Hey, look, you've got 4 ships that you're going up against, basically solo." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's do this." And now the odds have gone from 4-1 to 2-1 in a matter of 2 broadsides. So this is why I was confident, and one of the reasons why I really enjoy battleship gameplay is that you can do stuff like this if you get good shots in. Now, this Colorado has beached himself, or excuse me, yeah, he's over here. He's beached himself and is stuck against this mountain. He's also shooting HE shells at me, so I determined that he is not the biggest threat. So again, I'm going to get a massive hit on this shot. My teammate has had fired at literally the same time I had, and between my shells getting him down to 9,000 and the Ibuki's shells, he goes ahead and gets dead. I had continued churning because I knew that he was probably trying to go for a torp run when he had turned around like that, and easily avoid the torpedoes there. So the enemy Shokaku, you can see, is dying here in the background. I go ahead and a single broadside take out this Colorado. So at this point, the battle is pretty much into the cleanup stage, and I have a choice. You can see that my health. I've won this battle, or I've won this little skirmish area had 4 ships, but my health is pretty darn low. So you can see I have a choice on the minimap between facing a Montana that appears at this point to be going north of the island, or bending to the south towards the cap and engaging the Colorado and potentially the Otago and the New Orleans. So I at this point I'm like, let's not deal with the Montana right this second. So I'm going to turn into this gap between the islands and turn my turrets around here in just a minute. So I have, maybe 10 matches in this Montana. I just got it this weekend. Uh, I don't really feel like there's an armor bug. To be perfectly honest, I feel like the Montana has just as strong armor as the Iowa does, and it is just a matter of you need to know your armor angling tactics. The Montana is going to be up against ships that have the best guns in the game. Other Montanas, basically no 16 gun below 16 inch on a battleship is going to shoot at a Montana. So you're going to be facing guns that have the potential to penetrate it. So that being the case, you can't be giving people your broadsides. And the turret angling, you can see it's going to be able to come up pretty far towards the front on the rear turrets. So that's really as far as you want to be putting your broadside towards anybody at any time, is just enough to get your rear turrets facing the direction you want to go. And if you do that, then it's a lot easier to keep yourself safe. So, and just the raw HP in the Montana can really make a difference. So I've gone ahead and there's a bug in the replay, but I've gone ahead and used my last repair ability, and I'm up to 35,000 hit points. That's considering how much damage I've taken this match, it was definitely something that I needed to do going in and to face these last ones. So I'm going to come around the headlands here, and on, they've angled relatively well at this point, and I don't have a really great shot. My better shot is against this Montana, who has decided that he's going to try and get his guns on me or on the Ibuki, and this is again where the team gameplay makes a big difference. So my first shot I take against the Montana, and I immediately, as soon as I take the shot, turn in, attempting to angle my arm, keeping my armor angled against the others. My teammate, he launches torpedoes in an attempt to try and get these guys down. He's trying to maneuver around while they're focused on me largely. My second broadside, I've got a beautiful shot on the Colorado, and just 14,000 damage, and he's just gone. Now, my teammate got a little upset at this point because the torpedoes hit the Colorado, and would have hit the Montana if he had been alive and wasn't sinking. And so he was like, I'm trying to get another torpedo run in. Well, I'm just getting. There's not a whole lot left to health of my left, and this Montana is still very high. So I'm desperately trying to get my guns in. And so just gorgeous 60,000 damage hit right there, and the rear turrets, and go ahead and finish it off. That's it for this gameplay. And I hope that you enjoyed this peek at the Montana, and I think it's a really good ship. So please please feel free to stop by to see future videos, and take care.